Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. Right, the video today is on this 2013 Renault Megane with the 1.5 DCI engine. Okay, so let me take you through what the problem is with this car. So apparently the car, when I move the car to here, the car is definitely coming up with a warning and a few lights, which I'll show you in a second. But just a little bit of backstory. Apparently the car was coming up with a DPF warning above 2,500 RPMs. The owner said was above, in third gear, above 2,000 RPMs. The DPF warning would come on and then would go away if you'd carry on driving, accelerating above 3,500 RPMs. The light would go away. Apparently the guy bought a new, I don't know what codes were on the car, he didn't say it. I think he has his own little scanner, I guess. But he bought a new Renault sensor, which apparently they are different. They've been upgraded and the plug is different. He said he had to cut the plug on the car, which is this one, to fit the new plug. Not 100% sure. He doesn't have the old sensor, however. Anyway, he did all of that and the problem carried on. But at the moment, the warnings were permanently on and the car was just throwing the faults all the time. So we're gonna start the car and I'll show you exactly what's coming up with. I only saw it for a couple of minutes while I was moving the car here on the driveway, so I didn't have a chance to look too much. But what we're gonna do is do this, and we're gonna start the thing. So engine failure hazard. Okay, so that comes on straight away. There we go. So we have engine failure hazard. We have fuel light, engine light, the stop light. Let's gonna start it. Okay, so how do you turn these off? Off. Okay, so share cruise control. Obviously, if you have these faults on the engine, you will not have cruise control, and the spanner light comes on as well. So this is the issues we have with the car. Oh, there we go. Check anti-pollution system. That's about it, really. Looking at the cluster, check start and stop, obviously. So looking at the cluster, looks like we might have a DPF issue. We don't know. I just want to go for a quick drive test, or a quick test drive. I want to see exactly how the car is running. He reckons the engine failure hazard. So I think this is because of the DPF. Actually, before we go, there's no point to go because we have all these warnings here. Let's just plug in the maxi Cs and see what the maxi Cs tell us. Okay, so that's gonna go to diagnostics, control unit, injection, and let's see what our codes are. Okay, let me see what it is throwing, and it is, wow, preheating. Okay, so we know that for the full alert preheating unit diagnostic connection. So glow plugs. Why I had a zoom on this. I might leave it like that. Thermal plunger 2 relay control unit open circuit, boost pressure circuit, consistent blah 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 blah, pressure upstream of turbine. So pressure upstream of turbine, incorrect sensor mounting. Wow, that's a lot of codes. Alright, a little bit confusing. Well, not confusing, but let's gonna ignore this for now. I want to look at some live data. That's going to go for all signals. Okay, so we're gonna have to ignore anything to do with cruise control and all that good stuff, because so going on with this. Right, let me load some live data and we'll go from there. Okay, that's better. It loads the data a little bit quicker if I just go to parameters. Anyway, so looking at this, so the first thing I've noticed, there's a lot of vibration on this car, which to me looks like the flywheel. Anyway, so okay, so the first thing is the boost pressure. When I accelerate, the boost pressure goes up slightly, but to me it doesn't go up where it should be. Really slow to boost. Okay, might not be nothing. Water temperature, that's fine. So rail pressures doesn't really matter. There's nothing for rail. No regeneration failures. Particle filter, pressure differential, 8 millibars. Is not too bad, to be fair with you. 8 millibars idling, that looks okay to me. What else? Okay. I'm not sure if this car will need glow plugs to regenerate properly. Which if we have an issue with those, then obviously okay. I don't want to have the car here. Okay, so I don't want to have the car here. Never noticed that on the Renaults. That's a lot of revs. Right, I don't want to be here warming up the engine in case if I need to work anywhere close to the block, whatever. So we're gonna, I think one of the things that's gonna be really important now at this point is do a visual inspection and see if anything stands out. I might want to go, although the sensor is reading, so I don't think, because I think was the owner that did this Plex, so but it is reading, so I don't think this is going to be the issue. Otherwise would get a fault for that or wouldn't read or whatever. Something about the boost pressure sensor, if I recall that. Let me actually turn the ignition on, if I recall correctly. So let's just go over the faults again. So I'll leave you that with the faults again in there. So pressure upstream of turbine, so to me that's the boost pressure, and then boost pressure circuit turbocharge pressure is too low. So I think, so just remember guys that the anti-pollution system does not indicate straight away a fault with the DPF. Renault, that is a kind of generic message. Anti-pollution is anything to do with the with the emissions system, which goes from air intake, turbo, DPF, obviously, injectors, etc, etc. So let's gonna do a visual inspection and see what we find. Okay, so first thing I've noticed is that it looks like, and I know you guys are not going to be able to probably see it. Let me get some light. So, some light. So that valve in there, you can see the place where the vacuum used to go, which to me looks like some sort of bypass valve for the coolant system. Not sure if that's the thermostat, but is disconnected. The valve that controls it, it looks like is there at the back, as you can see there. And as you can see, the two places where the vacuum and then the output goes are also disconnected. There's nothing there. I don't even know how the hoses have been routed, so I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely been disconnected. I'm not sure if that would influence anything. But electrically is all plugged in, so it's all in place. I can't really see at the moment anything else. This is all stuffed back there. Intake and exhaust is both in the same sort of place. This pressure sensor, as I was here looking, has just been like tape wrapped sort of. It doesn't seem to me like this is original. I don't know. Renault selling, he sent me was original. I don't think it is. I'm gonna pull it out just to have a look, but it doesn't seem original to me. And to be honest, Renault selling a sensor that would require the cutting off the loom and rewiring is a little bit odd. Although it's French, you never know. They do a lot of stuff like that. So I'm gonna pull the sensor out. I want to see exactly which sensor we are looking at. But it is working, so might be that it's actually connected properly. Once we get all of these sorted, if we get to sort anything, I might just redo these connections properly with some tube shrink, which it was here originally, but the guy just left these out by the looks of it. So let's pull these out. I just want to have a quick look. Okay, so this is definitely not a Renault part. Not just, it feels a little bit too cheap, but there's no part numbers, there's nothing. This is just an aftermarket sensor, so it definitely lied to me, which is not a very good start when you want to work on a car when you want to work on someone's car and they start lying to you by saying they went Renault and Renault gave them a plug, blah blah blah. I thought that was a little bit odd, and now I know. Okay, so, oh dear, why do people lie? Right, to me the main issue to start with is that turbo pressure. I want to know where that sensor is. I want to understand what's going on with that sensor. Right, see if we have any boost leaks maybe. I think I'm gonna have to drive this car actually. I actually want to drive it to see if there's if anything stands out. Okay, and before we go, I already took a picture of these faults. What we're gonna do, we're gonna clear these codes, and I want to see which codes come on first, because it might be that is one issue that is causing all the other issues to pop up at a later stage. So clear the codes. Let me see if any codes comes back to start with. Maybe the glow plugs. Thermal plunger, 2 relay control circuit, open circuit. Okay, we might have to look at that later. I'm not 100% sure that these would cause the issues we are experiencing. So let's gonna do something here. Well, the cruise control looks like, let me start this thing. So the start and stop is activated now, as you can see in there. Cruise control seems to be back, and we have no warnings. There we go. So let's gonna go for drive and see what sets up, which code sets first. But I want to go with some live data loaded, special for boost pressure. So let me go. Boost pressure. Rail pressure is not really important. Boost pressure. Hold on, where is my atmospheric pressure? And I want what is this called? Exhaust. No, that. Filter. Okay, we'll do that. Pressure correction. Okay, let's gonna go with this and see if we see anything that maybe triggers some concerns. Let me do one thing with this. Let's merge those two. Okay, let's go. Okay, and I haven't drove too far, and you already throw the engine hazard, whatever. There we go. Engine hazard failure, or engine failure hazard. It didn't throw the spanner light, just the stop light. So let me see. I was not really looking at the live data. Let me see which code it throw. So 3 codes. So the preheating, pressure of upstream. Okay, so to me, so let's gonna look at this. So the preheating unit, I'm gonna ignore that one for now. This one was there already. The thermal plunger 2, the consistent multiplex signals for cruise control. Forget about that. That's just because of the code that is actually throwing all the lights. This is just a consequence of those. So the code to me is this one here: pressure upstream of turbine. Pressure upstream of turbine. Pressure upstream of turbine. Will this be a true? The car feels really low on power, to be fair with you, even before the code is set. I was not looking at the live data properly, to be fair with you. I'm going to load these live data again. Actually, I'm going to clear these codes again. So I'm going to set up, I'm going to do everything again. Clear codes, etc, etc. Set up my live data again, and I'm going to go again, see if I can actually see anything happening this time, and I might actually record the live data so we can go through it and see what is throwing that light. Just got back home, and the car feels really sluggish, and there is some boost, but it's not enough boost. So, and you can see these on live data. So my blue line is actually my boost pressure, and my green line is the reference. So the reference is what the ECU is asking for. The blue line is what the Turo is actually giving. And as you can see, I press my, look how slow it is. It hasn't even reached what the ECU asked for. Then here, look, I probably should have loaded actually RPMs as well, but I didn't. It doesn't really matter. This is literally just put your foot down, let it go to about 3,500 and put the next gear pretty much along those lines. And as you can see, it's really sluggish loading the boost, or building up the boost. Look at that. And I turn right down there. Let me go to the next one. Look at that. It's really, really sluggish. Again in there. Again in there. Again in there. Look at that. Look for how long the car, so the car asks for that, and then it slows down because as I took my foot off the accelerator. But look at that, how long it took to build any pressure at all. And just before we go, as for the pressure sensor for the DPF, which is this one in there, okay, as you can see, I think the maximum is reaching is 100 and a bit. Where is that? And that's when I'm really boosting. There we go. I think it's there. I think there we go. It reached 111 somewhere in there. There we go. 111. Yeah, it reached 111 right there, which is when you are actually try to put some boost. Oh, come on. So it's not too bad. Nothing really concerning. For now, I want to get the one thing at a time. So we're going to try to solve this boost pressure first before we go anywhere else. And obviously, let me turn the key on. And obviously, the car just he hasn't thrown the filter. It's the first fault that comes up. Only 2 now. So he has this time hasn't even throw all the other codes. So the only fault that comes up first is the engine hazard failure. Sorry for the glare, guys. So it's that one. The DPF, I think, the filter or the emissions comes out later. But as you can see, this is just a consequence of that one. That one comes up, it doesn't clear. So to me, this is the one that is causing our issue. Okay, and after a little bit of investigation, I've started to understand things a little bit better. So that sensor in there, this is not really the DPF sensor. I think the DPF sensor is going to be somewhere else. I'm not sure. This is the sensor that is actually throwing that code, the upstream pressure something. So the turbo pressure sensor is actually here. Is this sensor here at the back after the throttle body. This is well packed right at the back. It's very difficult to get to anything. There is a bypass valve at the back, I think it is. After this inlet as it goes into the turbo, there's a bypass somewhere. It's very difficult to get to anything. But this is actually the valve. And what I've done is, I want to show you this. So I'm going to unplug this sensor. This aftermarket sensor that someone told me it was a genuine sensor. Let me see if I can. So let me turn the ignition on. So ignition is on. So I do have that with the sensor unplugged. So 0 volts, 1013 millibars. So I guess that's just the ECU referencing some sort of reference value, I guess, so because will be no pressure going in at 0 volts. Okay, now we're gonna plug in the sensor. So the sensor is put in there, as you can see. Okay, and once I plug it in, I get that. Okay, now I'm gonna start the car. And I'm gonna give you a few revs. Four and a half thousand RPMs, and pretty much nothing changed. Let me actually go in there and clear all these codes. Okay, so all the faults are gone. So let's gonna go to that live data again. So I believe it's that one and that one. I'm just gonna leave them in there. Let me start the car. So with no codes, it's still set at 981,085. I'm gonna rev the engine, and that doesn't change. Okay, now at this point we can have two things. One, sensor is no good. Two, the sensor is connected wrong. Three, there's a block on that pipe, or it's blocked, that pipe, and there's no pressure getting up to the sensor. So let's gonna start by testing the last one. And you guys can imagine what I'm going to do. So we do have my vacuum pump or pressure pump, whatever way you want to call it. So I'm gonna put the phone here, try to record this screen so you can see my live data. Maybe if I try to put this more upright like that, maybe you can see slightly better, I think. There we go. So we have 981. Actually, let me do this to the top. There we go. That's better. So we have 981, and we do have. Hold yourself in there. Come on. Really? Okay, you can read the numbers anyway. So there we go. I'm going to start to put some pressure. So at the moment we read 981, which is close to atmospheric pressure. So I'm going to start to put some pressure on. My ignition just gone off. I could force the ignition on, but there's no point. Right, so I'm going to start to put some pressure. And it's reading. So let me go on the pump to 1 bar. So that should... What just happened? Oh, what just happened there? Oh, stop reading. What's going on here? Let me put some pressure. I'm going to go slow, so I'm going to put about 500 millibars, so that should go up to about 1500, which is the atmospheric pressure plus the pressure I'm putting on. It's not bad. And as you've seen, it gets to about 1300 and it stopped reading. There we go. Gets to about 1300 and it stops reading. So this is a crappy sensor to start with. But why is not reading absolutely anything on the car at all? Let's gonna see if this is a rubber hose here and then goes into a metal pipe underneath. So let's see if this is not blocked, perhaps. But this, it looks like, is a bad sensor. Okay, and this pipe, if I understand this correctly, it goes straight after the turbo manifold, right there at the back. So you have the turbo and then you have the intake manifold, and looks like this is going right there. And look, it's holding pressure. Let me put a little bit more. Look, it's holding pressure. This should be going somewhere, you know, it shouldn't be blocked like this. So definitely something doesn't sound right. That's not good. So we're gonna have to try to clear this hose, perhaps. Okay, let's try a few techniques, see if we can clear this. Okay, and after a few attempts using brake cleaner, didn't really do the job. Diluent, it helped really a lot. But what I've done to actually clear the pipe, let me show you what I've done. I didn't know if I'm going to be able to show you here. Basically, this is a steel cable from a bicycle. Well, it's not really from a bicycle, it's from that thing. So it's the cable that goes inside. Girls don't really use that anymore, so I've took the cable off, and what I've done is I filled this with diluent up to the diluent was up here, and then rotating this in from left to right, I just put this in there like so. So I'll try wire. If I was just pushing this, it wouldn't go anywhere, but if I do this, it goes all the way down. Okay. And what I want to show you now is that if I put the compressor in there now, okay, I can actually feel the hair getting through the exhaust system. So that's now cleared. I'm just going to start the engine, see if I can feel any pressure coming out here. but it should do now. So let's. It's not gonna fall off. No. So let's gonna start the engine. Oh yeah, we have pressure now. It doesn't really, but yeah, I can definitely feel the pressure. Now, how can I show you this? I'm not sure. Well, there is pressure. Let's gonna plug in the sensor. Back to my live data. Let me actually put the phone here so we can look at that. Like so. Okay, I'm going to put the sensor on top of the hose. It doesn't really change on idling, but let me see now if I accelerate, if I do have any changes on that sensor pressure. Oh yeah, I do have now. Have you seen that? There we go. So now let's gonna put everything back in properly and give it another test. Okay guys, and this is driving absolutely perfect. There's no more warning lights, as you can probably see. There's no warning lights. The car is driving fine. Power is there. So I think what was happening was, as soon as the car would trigger that fault, the car would go probably in limp mode. That's how I feel it. So it's driving fine. There's no warnings coming, as you've seen. Let's just quickly see what faults we have. If we just have that fault for the thermoplan, yeah, there we go. I'm not worried about this. This is one of those, or refers to one of those heating elements for the water circuit, which I think is only used below 5 degrees or something like that. That will not affect whatsoever the running of the car. So we're not going to worry about that. What we're going to do now, however, is we are going to fix those connections properly, because the way they are with that tape is not very good. So we're going to repair that, and that's about it really. And then we'll try to wrap up this video, but I'll take you through everything. Okay, and it's all done, and the rain is now here, so we're gonna close this. Right, I'm actually surprised it didn't start to rain any earlier. Anyway, I had to stop because when I realized, guys, it was time for me to go and pick up the girls from school. So what I'm gonna do now is wrap up this video basically, but not before take you through a couple of things that I think is important. One, someone is going to pick up on that. Check start and stop. I know someone will. So what I've done is I've plugged in the maxi keys again and gave it a scan just to try to understand, to make sure that it's nothing to do with that thermal plunger fault, which is the only fault on the car. And once you come to UPC, which is the fuse box under the bonnet, as you're gonna see, we do have 12-volt battery current sensor communication disrupted and start and stop module circuit invalid. Whatever that means, I don't know. I'm not going to investigate. I was not asked to look at that. I'm going to go now, however, with a drive with the car, for a drive with the car, because there's another. I think I'm going to make a video out of it. There's another issue we're going to resolve on this car that he asked me to look at it, and I'm working tomorrow and the following day, so if I could let the owner know the parts he needs today would be great, although I don't have much time. I have about half an hour, so I'm going to try to go for a drive to start with this video, and yeah, that's it. But for this, I think that's it. I think everything's on video, and I think it's quite clear what the problem was. If the owner would, or whoever put that sensor, I think it was the owner, the way he spoke to me, the way he explained things to me, it looks like it was him that fitted that sensor. If you would have done any testing, you would have seen that the pipe was blocked, and probably the original sensor was actually good, and was no need of spending money and be doing all of that. But he hasn't done that. He's just read the faults and replacing parts is what they call the parts canon. So that's it, but it's resolved, guys. And again, the car drives really beautiful. He's driving really fine. The boost is there. Obviously he's not coming up with that fault, so he doesn't go in limp mode anymore. So he's driving absolutely fine. So with no further ado, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the video. I do hope there is some information here you guys can find useful. Maybe you learned something. If you do have any questions, any comments, you know how it works, just put them below. And like always, thank you for watching.